Hello and welcome to Chatz, a television podcast, season 13, part 5, Chats of Prey. This is the 5th series in our season on shows misfortunate enough to be canceled before airing their 13th episode, which we've been calling 13 under 13. My name is Magellan, and they've got years of our podcast on disc back at the hotel. It's Alan.
Wow. I had them on Laserdisc originally, but it was, kind of like the storage was an issue. I was able to fit like 10, maybe 11 words on a Laserdisc.
Yeah, those discs are so big too.
Yeah, and I was just like throwing
Size
them
of
like
dinner
frisbees.
plates.
It was really sad. When I did that presentation recently in front of college kids about podcasting, one of the anecdotes that killed was I was telling them like part of it's like, how did I get into podcasting? And it's like, well, so I had this tape recorder when I was a kid. And you may think that I like recorded interviews, but what I actually did was I recorded full episodes of Ed, and Eddie that I would listen to in bed and laugh at, just the audio from. So that's exactly why I have an audio memory now. When, like me and like our friend Six, and like I'm sure you in some ways, like there are just certain audio clips, like Lisa Needs Braces, that like you can hear it, and it brings you back. Sort of like the song Hook by Blues Traveler brings you back.
Yeah.
When you're at a party and the guy keeps talking and you want to sound nice, but you don't understand what he's saying and you don't agree at all.
Suck it in, 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 suck it in.
The hook brings you back. That song featured in a prestige television show recently. It was really cool way.
Which one?
If I tell you, it'll spoil it.
I want it to be spoiled.
It was...
Okay.
Alan, bleep that out. Good job. Thank you. Hey, Magellan.
Hey.
We're in such a fugue state right now. We've been talking about fucking nonsense.
I listened to that other episode where I asked you to use a different sound effect to bleep something, and you did the fucking Flintstones. That was funny. That was pretty good.
Thanks, man.
But we're not here talking about the Flintstones. No. We're talking about 2002 to 2003's Birds of Prey, which aired on the WB. And It was a show about the birds of prey. So that's, Barbara Gordon as Oracle, and Helena Kyle as Huntress, and Dinah Lance as Black Canary, sort of. Black Canary's daughter. And they're super people, in a super city, and they're going to just solve crimes or beat people up and that kind of thing. And we watched episode 7 and 8 this week, Split and Lady Shiva. First, we watched Split, which was episode 7 of Birds of Prey. The story was created by Edward Kitsis and Adam Horowitz. The teleplay written by Adam Armis and Nora K. Foster. It was directed by James Marshall. It aired on November... Is that James Marshall?
Nope.
Is that Twin Peaks?
It's not. I checked. Good question.
Okay. But that is his name, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. It aired on November 20th, 2002. Alan, what happened in Split?
In this episode, Fred and Barney agree to babysit Wilma's nephew, Egbert, which makes them miss a chance to go and see a wrestling match. A blackout of the event in their area prompts them to bring Egbert with them to their friend Joe Rockhead's house.
No, that's going to go poorly.
Notes, this is the first appearance of Joe Rockhead.
Joe Rockhead. And how many times did Joe Rockhead appear?
Oh, several. 3, 4, 5.
Should we do a
7,
Flintstones
8,
podcast? How
10,
many episodes
11,
are
12,
there?
13, 14, 15 times we got Joe Rockhead. Because he's a mutual friend of Barney and Fred.
Guess how many episodes of the Flintstones there are total.
200.
That's not a bad guess. Guess.
How many? 166.
166, yeah.
What? That's too many.
The show premiered in 1960?
Yeah, that tracks. All those shows are from the 60s.
They had us watching 30, I guess it was on Boomerang.
Yeah, it was retro when we were watching it as kids.
Right.
Okay, Boomerang.
Aw, I miss Boomerang. We should do a whole podcast that's Boomerang.
And we call it Okay Boomerang. This is easy.
That's so good. That's so easy. Wait, let's just see if that exists. Okay Boomerang.
I don't think it does. I bet you it doesn't.
Not as a podcast.
Okay. Is it about Captain Boomerang, the DC Comics character?
No, there's an entry on Urban Dictionary. When someone taunts you with an already overused okay boomer and you smile and hit back, Gen X. Like it's
That's
a
an okay
boomerang.
boomerang.
Like you hit him back.
Sheesh.
It's an okay boomerang. That's
Captain
kinda fun.
Boomerang would have appeared in a future episode of Theoretically of Birds of Prey, where in this episode, Split, a superhero drops in and gives Huntress a taste of her own medicine, but they still join forces to capture the supervillain he is pursuing. Huh. So, Magellan, what? I was gonna make some really inappropriate joke about like multiple personality disorder, or DID as it's more commonly referred to these days.
Right.
What's the last episode of a TV show you saw that featured a character with DID?
Probably when we watched Moon Knight last year.
Oh, wasn't there also an X-Files?
Well, the guy who's in this episode as the Crawler plays a notable recurring X-Files side character.
No kidding, really?
Yeah, named the Alien Bounty Hunter, who I think I like just saw at the spot where I paused my watch of the X-Files, where it paused. Done. Okay. Just hitting the 2 bars, not the square. Never the twain shall meet. It's a pause. I'm going to boomerang my way back to it.
Good. But first,
watch all this. But yeah, that guy, I was like, why do I recognize that guy? And it's because he was in the X-Files. Also, you know what else he was in?
The NBA Dream Team?
No, Alan and I were talking about basketball before the podcast. When my brain wants to liquefy and do nothing else, I watch NBA video essays on YouTube. So now I have a lot of knowledge that I never needed or knew, but now I know it. And you could ask me stuff, and I actually know what I'm talking about some things. But no, he was not in the NBA. He was in an episode of Crusade, which is a piece of useless knowledge that I love having. He was the guy who was like the super soldier. Remember when that was an episode? Yeah. So this guy's just like beefy, vaguely scary side character from the 90s to aughts guy. And he made it to Birds of Prey too, which is fun.
That's such a good thing, a good role to have, a good career to have. You're just a big scary guy, but she's super friendly in real life.
He does seem pretty friendly. He's got such a nice big smile.
Yeah.
Brian Thompson, by the way, is his name. Brian.
There we go. Brian Thompson plays the Crawler, one of the identities of our villain this week. We're talking around it, but I think that the Crawler plotline is played very, very like bog standard, and that's because it's this show is sometimes just a good villain of the week. It's a good whodunit mystery series. Good, not great, I would say. How did you feel about all of this stuff in Split?
First of all, I have to say the other personality, Dark Strike, played by Christopher Polaha. That guy in the last few years has been in a lot of Hallmark Christmas movies.
Oh, so, another good career kind of gig. Gig was the word I've been looking for. Gig is, yes.
Yeah. This episode was a strange one. Both of the episodes this week were not super great. And I think the thing that I want to be really clear about is I still adore Birds of Prey. And it's exactly the era and style of television that I missed watching. And it's the kind of television that created Chatz. So like it is touching my heart in a very deep place. It also is just doing these kinds of like, it's episode 7 and 8 of the first season. So like we're going to kind of throw some side plots and guest characters at the wall to see if any of them are interesting enough to like come back later or something. And both of these episodes, I think, toss characters at us that you can imagine in writing this show, you're kind of hedging your bets of, well, maybe we'll bring this guy back if people are interested in him, or, this will just be a one-off thing. But it was strange to me that they did this for a show that's so preoccupied with like using DC Universe stuff as like the backdrop of the show. it was weird that they just brought in like a random new character for this. The Darkstrike is not, I looked it up, is an original character for the show as far as I understand, right?
Yeah, the only new character, or the only comic character this week is Lady Shiva. Everyone else is newbies.
And they just end up creating a character who is so, and maybe it's because he's played a side character on the X-Files that the X-Files was in my head, but this was like such a like throwaway X-Files-y thing of like mixed with the sort of like WB teen drama thing of like, I've got a crush on the new guy, but oh my God, he's actually the bad guy. And I just thought it was like a kind of vaguely boring thing that turned into another vaguely boring thing. And I wasn't super crazy about it, I would say. What did you think of this whole plotline?
Yeah, it's very predictable. I think you make a good point though about Darkstrike and how that guy just like doesn't stand out very much.
Yeah.
I found on his IMDb page, you can see like lists that people include this person on.
Oh no.
User Memi_210 back in 2014 made in a list called I Am Getting Confused. And this is a list it's a pair of actors. It's pairs of actors who look like each other according to this user.
Okay.
So, Shailene Woodley and Jennifer Lawrence, Lena Headey and Olivia Wilde. These are like classics, right?
Uh-huh.
And I was like, okay, but where is this guy? Where is this guy? Okay, Matt Bomer, Henry Cavill. Sure, I agree. You kind of have Isla Fisher, Amy Adams. Like, I see what you're going for there.
Sure.
Keep scrolling. I know he compared this guy to Christopher Palaha.
Who?
Mark Ruffalo.
No.
I don't feel that. I don't
like young, clean-shaven 13 going on 30 Mark Ruffalo.
My favorite.
Maybe, but no.
No. Sorry, Mimi. Yeah, he just looks
also
super generic. Yeah.
Yeah. He was also in an episode Better Off Ted.
Oh.
Apparently. In the racial sensitivity episode. As a guy named Don.
Oh, sure.
I guess he was Ted's friend or something. There's a picture of him drinking a smoothie with Ted.
Bro just worked at the office. There's so many extras in that freaking show.
Yeah. It got me thinking about, this is like a side tangent.
Okay.
If that's okay.
I'm going to allow it.
Thank you. These two guys like morphing into each other just got me thinking about, and all this basketball that I've been thinking about lately. It gave me an idea for like a Chatz discussion we should have sometime. Which is, how like a basketball hypothetical question is, who's your all-time starting five? Like, you're the best at every position or whatever.
Yeah. You're talking about Chatz alum starting five.
Yeah. Like a Chatz, an ensemble show, and we have the kind of basic roles, and we build our version of it out of only people who've been on Chatz shows. I think that would be fun to do.
Gary Cole is the dad. The guy who plays Stu is the funny friend.
Yes.
Hold on. Oh, Claudia Christian is the mom. Not Claudia.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say Claudia Black is the mom.
I meant to say Claudia Black. Yeah, but I meant to say Claudia Black, which is why I hesitated. But actually, Claudia Christian's
a pretty good choice.
Yeah. She's played a mom on things before. And then, oh god. Oh my god, the fucking the girl from Pushing Daisies as the like charming sister who like is older.
I would have said Linda Cardellini.
I think she's the younger sister.
Anyway,
the funny Uncle is Lito from Let's Set 8. Done. Print it. Funny
good
uncle.
Show. Quality
funny gay
show.
Uncle.
Great show.
We can play with that idea some more. I just wanted to entertain it a little bit. Blowing right through this episode, though, is the sexual tension between Darkstrike, Reese, and Helena. Because at one point, Dinah, just a being of pure chaos, is like, you should probably be with Darkstrike instead. Wouldn't it be nice to have a boyfriend who knows your deal and dresses weird and goth the way that you do and isn't distant and a cop? And she goes, you know what? Actually, I fully agree with you. And that's such a good point, you teenager with lots of hormones. And she like starts to pursue that before we find out that Darkstrike is the Crawler. And that's a double personality thing. They don't look anything alike, but he transforms because it's fucking comic books. Don't worry about it.
Right.
And she has put some distance between her and Reese, who is also at least on very friendly terms with the assistant district attorney. And so they have like a little bit of a little thing. And she ends the episode being like, oh, I don't know if I should trust people anymore. And it's a bummer because I'm like, Helena, sometimes you stray from the path and you realize, but you come back at the end and realize that you still can be a chaotic lesbian. That's allowed. I'm saying Helena X Harley is my OTP.
Yeah.
He says, not believing what I said at all. My new favorite thing.
There are just so many lesbian ships that you could do in this show. It's hard to choose which one is the
Nina,
one.
the Pinta, and the Santa Maria.
Oh my god, that's pretty funny. What you just said is pretty funny.
Reese meets Harley Quinn to understand the mind of a killer. This is mostly so that Mia Sara can be in an episode. It's whatever. I'm happy to keep seeing Mia Sara. She has this like great like red bandana around her neck that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Do you like the way that I pronounced that word?
I did. I was gonna comment on it, and then I decided not to.
I could tell you wanted to. I felt it. This is more. We know each other too well.
Sorry, go ahead.
Listen, I'm trying to project a certain type of voice.
I know. I was just squirming in my seat to say it. I loved it.
Thank you.
I want you to do more of it. Yeah,
I will.
Harley Quinn, great energy, red bandana, Dr. Quinzel.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
She says, "Evil's so much more interesting than good, don't you think?"
And he's like, "That's a weird thing to say." Anyways, I'm just gonna
gotta go.
I guess you know a lot about criminals, Miss Quinzel. Anyways, I gotta go talk to my not girlfriend and my girl who basically solicits me for sex.
I've gone from being very bored of the Helena Reese sexual tension to, by the end of this episode, being like, fucking kiss each other. Oh my god, I cannot. There's like a 30-second stretch at the end of the episode where they are smolderingly staring into each other's eyes, and it's like, please just smooch each other on the face. Thank you.
Speaking of Smolder, which is my ship name for Mulder and Scully.
Mulder and Scully, yeah. Smolder, yeah.
There is a tweet that you would have loved that went viral recently, where some Gen Z person was like, nobody like TV is like used to be so sexless in the 90s, like stuff like the X-Files, they never even fucking flirted. And all the replies were like, you didn't watch the X-Files for even 1 second.
What are you talking about?
You didn't even look at it. You didn't even think about the X-Files when you tweeted that, bud.
Did you even watch the first episode of the X-Files? Come on now.
I don't think so. I think that they just posted a tweet. And
in the first episode, Scully is like, hey, Mulder, can you look at this thing on my back while I'm nude or whatever? Like, it was there from day one.
It's sick. I am
so funny.
Yeah, so it's always been kind of horny like this. I found it. Love that the X-Files was the most sexless show to ever grace television in the 90s, as opposed to the slutty photo shoots that popular magazines were pumping out to promote it.
Wrong.
Incorrect.
Wrong take.
The Chatz is not about just finding tweets and laughing at them, though. We are here to talk about DC Comics. So, Darkstrike goes to Arkham at the end of this whole thing after they catch him. Oh no, I guess I don't have love anymore. We get to see Arkham Asylum, though, which is really fun. I don't know when Arkham was introduced to the Batman mythos, but I've always, of course, associated with the video games.
Right.
Actually, I know there was an Alan Moore comic called Batman Arkham Asylum that I read and really liked, and I don't remember when that was. Arkham Asylum comic, Alan Moore. Oh, it's called The Serious House on Serious Earth.
The first appearance of Arkham Asylum was in 1974.
Okay. Gotcha. So yeah. What else do I have to talk about this episode? We talked about the main love triangle. We talked about the mystery. That's most of what I have. Yeah. I compared Crawler to Two-Face in my notes.
Yeah.
There's something different about it. I think ultimately the reason Darkstrike doesn't work for me is there's a scene where he's like, oh, Helena, you and me, like, we look the same. We both wear black and we stalk around at night. And, like, that guy, number one, he's not even wearing, like, a duster the way that she is. He doesn't look like a Matrix character, which is the fundamental, like, miss. Like, if he looked like Neo, this would work so much better because you would be like, yeah, that's a guy that's in the same line of work as Helena. But this is just like a guy in a black shirt who's like, "What's up? I'm a creature of the night," and you're like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I believe you, I guess."
Yeah, it's just interesting how, I think having this much distance from, like, time-wise from the early 2000s, how our cultural expectations of, like, attractiveness have changed, because the whole episode people are talking about this guy like he's so hot.
Yeah.
And he's a good-looking guy, and I bet if I met him in person, I'd be like, "Oh, okay, you could buy me a Christmas gift, you little scamp." But on screen, he's just like a dude. He's just this guy. And so it's Dinah coming and being like, "Whoa, who's the hunk? I think you should date him."
Hold on, girls. I'm going to go flirt with him.
Right. And then they stay on, they don't cut. They just watch her walk to the other side of the room and say, "Hey, I'm Dinah," or whatever. It's not, it doesn't quite work. The casting's a little weird.
Literally Rizless. Zero Riz from Dinah here.
No Riz whatsoever. Yeah, because they really want to sell you on, like, this is the dude huntress, because, like, that's the whole love plot angle of this, that, like, instead of being with Reese, she's going to be with someone who, like, fits her better. And I don't know, but their chemistry, maybe that's what it is. It's not even this guy specifically. It's just like they don't have chemistry, the two of them. And so it's hard to buy her considering this being a thing, or on his end buy, like, "Oh, I loved you for a moment and now I'm a monster because I don't deserve love." You just seemed like kind of okay friends. You're going to hang out a little bit and you're having fun chatting. Yeah. So it just doesn't quite pop on the screen.
The last thing I have about him is that he has this one, like, again, Birds of Prey has good ideas that they don't give any time to breathe. He has a conversation with her where he's like, "Oh, what I love about being a vigilante and what matters to me is that I get to be a different self, because my main self is, like, full of grief and sadness, and I can't deal with the regular daytime world. But at night, I get to accept that this is not me. This is Darkstrike." And it's like, you've actually touched on something really interesting about vigilantism, which is that it requires you to have a certain level of self-loathing or, like, self-dislike, that you feel the need to adopt a persona that's not you. Like, there's something psychologically really cool about that. And then again, yes, the show just sprints right past that, and Helena's like, "I guess that means that I love you, because I too feel that."
Right.
And that was where I Googled, like, is this guy in the comics? Because I'd like to hear more about this, and he is not.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like a germ of a thing in here about vigilantism versus kind of traditional police work, I suppose, or, like, working within the system versus outside of it. And I think what could work about it is what you're describing, where Helen is investigating that some of her desire to work outside of the system is because doing that lets her kind of exercise her demons a little bit, and, like, beat people up, which is, in some ways, you could make the case that it's doing work that, like, the police aren't doing, but in other ways it's just allowing her to beat people up because she wants to and thinks it's fun, or, like, needs to let off some steam or ignore deeper trauma. And they kind of then make that a metaphor with the guy turning into a monster version of himself, I guess.
I was about to say that, and the 2 personalities becomes literal for him.
Yeah, but it just kind of doesn't quite, I don't know what it is about that doesn't quite work for me, but it doesn't feel like it sticks the landing. I think because the kind of, like, love triangle romance thing muddles that for me.
Yes.
I think that's what it is. And then also it's, sorry, what were you going to say?
I just think it doesn't ever get the time. The show feels like it's always sprinting past its best ideas.
Yeah. It's also, I will admit, on my end, it's kind of hard to meet a story where it's at, like this one, where the moral dilemma is a character being like, the problem with cops is that they're too bureaucratic. It's like, I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah.
That's not my problem with cops, really. And then you start thinking too much about how superheroes are like kind of violent reactionary figures, and the way that vigilantism is portrayed in comics is a propaganda of its own, and then suddenly the show's not fun to watch anymore.
Bingus. Not much more to say about that. You really you squashed the nail on the head, honestly. Do you have any stray notes on this one? I have one. A single stray note.
I do. Let's see here. Dark Strike, like if we're gonna make up a guy, come on.
Better name. And
Better
the part
name.
where someone says that, do not lampshade your bad superhero names. And someone's like, really? Dark? His name's Dark Strike? And and then Helmet's like, well, it's because he only strikes at night. It's intentional. No.
You could do that if he was like a dude from a random comic and you were making fun of that, but you made up this cat.
My brother in Christ, you made up the man. God.
Also, are we not going to address he and Oracle clearly fucked at some point? Because
yeah.
she's like, he's like an old friend. And then Dinah's like, what's this guy got? And Oracle says, what's he got where?
You like never cuss, by the way. That just really threw me for a hard loop.
Yeah, it felt a little nasty to say.
I loved
but
it.
I had to get the folks' attention. I had to bring this up. That they don't explore the clear sexual history between this guy and Barbara Gordon.
Barbara.
And then immediately Dinah comes in and says, so, who's the gorgeous guy? What
like,
a line.
Dinah, you're 17. You only get to have romantic plots with guys in high school. I don't want you to have any romantic plots with these weird old men. I hate these old men.
Oracle also then in that same scene says, well, Darkstrike is definitely a guy. I'm sorry.
Whoa. Intense.
Anyway, so.
Oracle, the gender essentialist. Again, after the baby, after Three Birds and a Baby, they...
Yeah. I referenced the line where he says, I've got files on disc back at the hotel.
Yep.
So that was fun.
Yep.
It's a good line.
We spent approximately 3 seconds in the episode debating the ethics of Dinah breaching someone's mind without their consent, because they find the woman that the crawler captured, like tied up, and then she passes out or something. And they're like, we could just find it. We could solve the crime, but all you have to do is break into her brain. And they don't even say that the reason that they hesitated is because she cannot consent to that. And they're just like, oh, but I have to. Okay, I'm going to do it. And then she does it. And they get their answer. But like, you guys just, like, she just got into the deepest personal thoughts of a stranger who was unconscious and didn't. Yeah. They're never going to, they can't. That is actually a plot line I would have loved to see be addressed more in a future season, is like, Dinah being willy-nilly with the Black Canary powers and that causing problems.
Yeah. Well, and she's willy-nilly with it in the next episode, but it's like played as like the fun C plot of the episode.
Yeah, it's played like a decom in the next one.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No. Nope. That's what I got.
Okay. Well, we'll be back right after this brief musical break to discuss Lady Shiva. Welcome back to Chats of Prey. The second episode we watched this week was Lady Shiva, episode 8 of Birds of Prey 2002. Again, the story was by Edward Kitsis and Adam Horowitz. The teleplay was Adam Armus and Nora K. Foster. And this one was directed by John T. Kretschmer, who's credited as John Kretschmer in the episode, which means that he added the initial later. Fun fact. This episode aired November 27th, 2002. And Magellan, my sweet co-host, what happened in it?
In this episode, Oracle insists on handling an old Batgirl nemesis herself, but can't keep the conflict contained. Dinah finds her superpowers are a double-edged sword in her social life. Brother, what did you think of this one, huh?
I I think that the A and B plot are way too tonally different to work in the same episode.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing.
That's
We have a
right.
Disney Channel original movie B plot where Dinah is like, is it okay to ask a boy to the prom? And if he finds out that the reason you know everything about him is because you breached his mind? Again, like, what if they did an episode about this? I'm saying they should do an arc about this and treat it seriously. This is a comedic version of what I was just talking about in the first half. Meanwhile, in the A plot, Barbara's sworn nemesis prompts her to get ready for a suicide mission wherein she gives herself the ability to walk temporarily so that she can kill this child, this teenage girl. And then she fails and has to reckon with the fact that she still can't walk, and they still have to debate killing her. Huh? Same episode. So overall, it felt like I was watching two shows at the same time.
Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, they did it. We've been worrying the whole season. Are they going to do a thing where Barbara Gordon walks? And they did it. And they kind of then backpedaled off of doing it. But we're like, we're going to do it again. She's trying to do this. And it, I'll say this for the fourth week in a row or whatever. I'm not the person to be an authority on this, but it definitely feels weird to me the way that they're handling it.
It sucks.
Yeah.
I thank God I can finally walk. Oh, it hurts so much. Never mind, I can't walk anymore.
Yeah.
But someday I'll walk. And it ties into this harmful trope of disabled people and their dream, their ultimate goal is to quote unquote fix a disability.
Right. And then they are kind of aware that that's a problem, and so they have characters reassuring Barbara that like when Alfred at the end says, "Hey, thank goodness you're not Batgirl anymore because now you care about other people." Oof. It's kind of like, whoa.
You're better now that you're disabled.
What a weird point to make. I don't know. It was strange.
Yeah, I read a review of the episode this past week that was talking about how funny and weird it is that, for example, she has a whole room dedicated to the Batgirl costume, a whole room in the clock tower, this big ass
just to
gold
look
room,
at it. Yeah,
to look and never touch because she can't stand up and she can't get into it again. And it's like, first of all, homegirl, you can just put it on. You don't not have the ability to wear the costume. I know it's what she misses is being able to run around and fight bad guys, but you are fighting bad guys right now. You're doing all the stuff. You're just not doing it while standing. So what do you specifically miss about being back? Do you miss being younger? Because that's an interesting metaphorical space that they could have played in. Is Oracle going, I'm not sad that I can't walk anymore. I'm sad that I'm not as nimble as I used to be, which has its own sort of ableist connotation. It's all messy top to bottom, and the scene where she it has the device that she's been tinkering with and attempts to fight Lady Shiva is very awkward and kind of forced, and mostly gives the plot some momentum. That same review also noted how weird it is that she came there in the wheelchair and presumably put this thing on immediately, but left the wheelchair out. So when Lady Shiva sees her and sees oh my God, that's Barbara Gordon, which kind of sets the back half of the plot off. It's why didn't you put it in the trunk or something? Or what?
Right.
I think she thought she was gonna die and it wouldn't matter. I don't know.
I think that the implication was just that she was only going to be able to make it work for a very brief window of time. So it's not like she would have had the time to, or the inclination. I'm sure she didn't think that Lady Shiva would see it or the altercation would last that long or what. I don't know. Yeah, that scene is strange. And then I think they again are aware of it and trying to do something by making the point that when Barbara is in the Batgirl costume trying to be who she used to be, she loses the fight. And then when she is not in the costume, she's in her wheelchair and she's accepting who she is, she wins the fight later in the episode.
And chooses not to kill as well.
Yeah. There's something there, but it just is a little, maybe more than a little clumsy, and operates off some harmful stereotypes. I think at this point that's kind of baked into the show. Like we know that about Birds of Prey, that it's not doing this stuff 100% well.
Gail Simone's run on Birds of Prey, which I've been reading this past week, does not talk too much about it. It seems like it's kind of it's the modern way we talk about disability, or like portray it, where the nicest thing you can do is not talk about it. Like just treat her like she is a competent person, who knows how to do everything and is as capable as everyone else. But also the arc I'm reading is a Canary-centric arc, so it's less about her and more about Dinah's like legacy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess what you can say to the show's credit is that it is trying to like do something with it and acknowledge like this is a part of who Barbara is, but it just doesn't really seem like they are equipped to do that super well. But
also, why does she want to take out Shiva Kamini Somakandar Crumb? Why does she want to defeat her specifically?
Nice The League reference. Get out of town.
Okay, I'm packing my bags. See you, everyone. Thanks for having me. John,
what a brown note in this episode.
Oh my god! Are you okay, Taco? Jeez! Your fucking vinegar strokes over here.
Okay.
My Eskimo brother. Okay. These jokes make sense to no one. You shouldn't watch the FX show The League. I'm keeping them in here, though, in case there is one The League fan out there. I'm sorry to you. It's fine. Yeah. Why does she want to beat Shiva? Because she wants to put the vengeance to bed. I killed your mom by accident, and so you need to die. Well, it's also because, like, young Shiva, that's what they should have called her, like, YUNG. He's, like, killing people and leaving calling cards and causing problems. But that doesn't mean you need to, like, I don't know. And she also says, like, I'm not going to kill her. I just need her to stop doing kills, being an assassin.
Yeah, well, and I think also, like, she gets more intense after she tries to apologize, and Shiva doesn't accept the apology. And then Shiva goes after Dinah. So it's, like, out of protectiveness for Dinah. Yeah, I don't know. It's not the most interesting thing, and it's another one of these plots where we're bringing in another character to like flesh out one of our main ensemble members. And like the last episode, it kind of cuts the ensemble off from each other more than I would like. But at least in this one, you know, you get some Huntress and Oracle kind of flipping of the roles a little bit. Because, I mean, you were joking before that every episode somebody's trying to be a lone wolf and somebody else is like, that's not how we do things. But at least now it's flipped from who is usually doing those things.
Yeah, if next week it features Dinah being a lone wolf, I'm done. I don't know. They've run out of dice to roll, I guess.
Yeah.
I think the best Helena stuff was just the guilt around telling Sandy in a hypothetical situation, if I knew the person who killed my parents, I would also kill them.
Yeah.
Because Sandy tells her, like, yeah, let's say, you know, hypothetically, this happened. I don't know what the context is that she tells her that. She's like, would you get revenge? She's like, obviously I would. Because Helena has an attachment to her parent, to Bruce and to Selena. And would, if she knew how that happened, would have stopped it. And then it turns out she's the one who motivates Sandy to try and kill Barbara, which is like a whole thing. So I liked that aspect, of, like including Helena in this. I didn't like the cheesy 2000s dialogue of like, let's go party, Sandy. Okay, we're going to go to the club tonight. Sorry, I have to write. I can't go clubbing. It felt very kind of crazy, to be honest.
It just felt kind of random that they were high school friends or whatever. It felt kind of tacked on.
It's just stakes building.
Yeah, it's a way to involve, like you were saying, involve Helena in the plot and build stakes. And I guess it kind of creates this parallelism with like Dinah having a friend in high school or something. But it felt a little random to me.
Also hashtag random, the B plot, which concerns Dinah trying to impress a guy in her school who looks like a young Trent Reznor. Go look up Trent Reznor and tell me this guy doesn't look just like him. It's
another example of a guy who you know, maybe in 2003, everybody's agreeing that this guy's a complete hunk. But you look at him now, yeah, he does kind of look like a young Trent Reznor.
Mm-hmm.
You look at him now, and it's like, okay, I guess, sure, he's fine looking.
He's fine. Like, he looks older, which I understand why some people like that in their high school boys. Whatever, it's weird.
Yeah, he
high
looks like
school
a
girls
grown man. It's
Right.
so strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a crush on him. Her friend, who looks suspiciously like Elizabeth Banks, but I don't think is Elizabeth. The age doesn't work out at all.
No, she had big Emma Stone meets Tara Reid energy, and I was here for it.
Oh! You're so right, bud. And she's like, oh, you should talk to him. You should like find out what he likes. And she's like, I have a way to do that. I'll touch him, and then I'll know everything about him. So she hums his favorite obscure metal song. I love how easy it is to manipulate men. You know, you just hum their fucking obscure song. You're like, he's like, is that the Shins? She's like, yeah, I love the Shins. And then it's like it's not the Shins, but it's something like that. If it was us in the series. And then later, this is the funny one. And I found a wiki that had some funny trivia about this, or no, it was in that same review. Excuse me. She hears that he is into some like sports team. And she's like, oh, I got tickets. Like, she flashes some tickets, and do you want to come with me? There is no indication of what sport that is. She just has tickets to sport. In that review, they checked the canon. They're like, is this team ever been referenced on like the DC Comics wiki?
Right.
They looked it up, and it was like, yeah, this team exists in DC Comics as basketball and baseball. So there's
hilarious.
we don't know. This is a nebulous sport.
Yeah, I was like, again, my YouTube basketball video essay poisoned brain when I heard the name of the team. What is it, the Knights, right?
I think
something.
So.
My brain immediately was like, okay, check the Rolodex. Like, do you know of any teams named that? And then in a later scene, she's like, yeah, the new Gotham Knights. And then the other part of my brain was like, you stupid. It's a fucking made up thing. It's not real. Stop looking for the
these days they would say like it's
it.
a Clippers game.
Right.
But not in that. Oh, I can't find the review anymore. Wait, is it Get Your Comic on? Nope. A lot of people reviewed 2002 Birds of Prey. What's going on, y'all? It was like a two people talking to each other kind of review. I'm sure somebody at home can find it. I don't have the energy or time to look for it right now. Sorry. Somebody has a Patreon where they reviewed it in 2020. Interesting.
Word.
So she gets invited to the dance and feels bad about it, and he leaves to talk to her best friend, not Elizabeth Banks. And I love to be fed, listener. Not just food, but like gay content, right? And I fucking wrote in my notes. This is after everything happens. Like, so Lady Shiva comes to the dance. She tries to capture Dinah. Helena and Barbara stop her. Hooray, we saved the day. We're not going to kill her. We're good people, right? The fight scene's actually pretty good. Later, Dinah's talking to her friend and says that, quote, some teachers got over-beveraged, which is a perfect line.
It happens too. I've seen it.
Her friend Gabby is the friend's name. Gabby is like, yeah, I'm sorry that the whole thing happened with that boy, but he's not really my type. And I go, ha 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 ha. Gabby, Dinah is obviously your type. You're gay. And then she goes, you know who's my type is the guy. I swapped lab partners with you with the guy, so I got the lady lab partner, and she's the one I have a crush on. Yeah. And she goes, quote, she rocks, which I was like, huh? It's real.
Sorry, canonical lesbianism. Let's go.
Is that allowed in 2002?
Thank you.
Buffy paved the way. So, what's her face? Gabby from Birds of Prey, first canonical lesbian. Well, Helena's technically. Yeah, well,
I mean, I think they're starting to kick that door open a little bit. Like, hey, just so you know, sexuality exists. So.
And
let's talk about it.
And this is how it happens, right? Is it always starts with side characters. Like these days, you get like the trans side character in Euphoria. I guess she's actually a main character in Euphoria. Like we're getting pretty far. But for a while, you keep them as side characters until they become main characters. And that's when people feel like representation has reached a meaningful sort of apex. It's like the characters that get the most dialogue are diverse and queer, representing and reflecting our real world.
Right. Speaking of trans characters, there's that weird line at the beginning
Yeah.
Remember this?
Which one?
Where Helena and what's Shiva's real name is her friend? Sandy are talking, and they're talking about like people from high school, and Helena's like, so-and-so? Well, now he is a she.
Oh my god, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, it happened in their like catch-up moment at the beginning of the episode.
Listen, as somebody who just went to their high school reunion, that was the thing I wanted to hear about the most.
Yeah.
And was let down by, but it's fine. I don't know. This is it's 2002. You know, I didn't expect to even get the gay moment, so I'll take what I can get for now.
Yeah, I honestly think that's them trying to do it in an okay way, and it's just like super dated now 20 years later, but the way that they react to it is just like so and so got divorced, you know, like it's as much of a piece of gossip as that, I guess.
It is kind of
still weird.
It is often talked about in the same way now, though.
Yeah.
You know, like I told a friend that another friend transitioned, and I was like, "This is their name now," and they were like, "Oh, interesting." Like in that same way that Sandy or that Helena's like, "Oh, okay." So like some things don't change actually that much.
Yeah.
But that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think that ultimately, like, this is a fun episode with just like a square peg in a circular hole, like two things that do not fit together.
Right.
And they try to jam them together by having the fight scene happen in the high school, and it's like, I'm not watching Buffy right now. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Also, there's sexual tension in that first scene between Sandy and Helena. The way that they're like, I really missed you, and she like reaches the hand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying. Also, Alfred and Barbara have all of the best scenes in this show. The two adults being adults.
I think this has been the best Alfred we've gotten.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not hard. Ian Abercrombie's a really good actor, and
he
talks to Barbara like, hey, I know where you've been, and I've seen you grow up, and you're not the type of person to like long for something you don't have. I know you're happy with what with your situation, and you're having trouble with that. You're trouble understanding that right now. Like the parental figure. It's important to have that character on this.
Yeah. I love that line where she's like, how are you so good at always saying the right thing at the right time? And he says, years of practice. That's such a good Alfred line.
Yeah.
We love that.
We love Alfred. My favorite dad on TV.
King.
Sorry, Al Bundy.
I think he's doing all right.
He's doing his best. Before we get over-beveraged again, what story notes do you have for this?
Well, such a great way. So in that same catch-up conversation, Sandra says, Helena's like, what are you doing in town? Sandra says, I'm sort of a headhunter. I freelance mostly, which is such a normie, awesome way to say that you're a supervillain trying to kill someone.
A headhunter.
Yeah. Let's see.
Morning Brew had a video that went kind of viral recently called What Does a Consultant Actually Do? And it's kind of like being a headhunter, where the main guy, Dan Toomey, had to be like, I talked to 15 different consultants, like from McKinsey and Deloitte, to be like, what do you guys do? Because you have like the highest salaries of like any business job. And a lot of people were like, we tell people to do things.
Right.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
I digress. Sorry.
Oh, there's this exchange between Reese and Helena where they're like talking about Batman in this way that I love. This show has just decided that Batman has been gone for forever, so people like don't know who he is or think that he's a myth or whatever. Mm-hmm. Reese is like, yeah, I heard about this guy called the Batman, and she's like, psh, a guy dressed as a bat? Whatever, sounds stupid to me. And I kind of am here for it. I kind of love that, to be honest.
Yeah, the legacy of Batman.
What else? I immediately loved Gabby when she said, where Dino's like, I thought you hated the dance, didn't want to go. Gabby says, oh, I'm changing the forecast. The dance is looking up. Fun. You're fun.
Yeah, you're fun. You're a fun person.
Yeah. I wrote in my notes, Dinah's young. We try not to sexualize her because the show is not living up to that maxim, unfortunately.
No.
There's like, they do like a slow-mo shot where she is in a new outfit and it's like, whoa, Dinah's hot now.
She's
like,
all that.
Yeah. It's not, to their credit, it is not sexual per se, but it is, I don't know. I guess it's like teen girl wish fulfillment kind of a thing.
Yes.
Or something. But it's weird. Like, it would be one thing if this was like Buffy, where all of the characters are teenagers. But for some reason, when it's a show where some of the characters are teenagers and most of them are adults, it's kind of like, hold on. This is kind of strange that you're doing this.
Also, I said this before, but all of those moments where it's like, look how pretty Dinah is. It's like, she's already traditionally attractive. It's not that she's all that thing where they took the glasses off the girl and like made her hair, let her hair down. It's like, we put a fan in front of her. Boom. And we put a little bit more makeup on. Damn, we did it.
Her shirt has a pattern now.
Exactly.
It's just kind of weird. Also, Alfred, when he's complimenting Barbara Gordon, he's like, you're so thoughtful and beautiful. You couldn't think of a second adjective before you got to beautiful? Come on, man. That's the PDA. How did you know all this stuff about me? I looked in your PDA. What? That's all my most private thoughts.
Wild.
I love that.
And the like, don't tell anybody about the really specific and personal thing I fantasized about the cheerleading team.
Yeah.
Teenage boys have the least interesting sexual fantasies.
Well, you haven't seen this guy's PDA. You don't know that.
Exactly. I've seen his public displays of affection, though.
We see one at the end of the episode.
Bingus. That's all I got.
Okay, me too.
Okay, great. Amazing. Incredible. Iconic. Magellan, can you tell people where they can find you on the internet?
You can find me on another podcast called Super Smash Echoes, where myself and my friend Justin discuss video games related to the Super Smash Brothers franchise. Super Smash Echoes, check it out. You can also read some of my writing on my newsletter, notthatmagellan.substack.com. What about you?
You can find me on a few podcasts. Primarily, I'm on Scanline Media's array of podcasts, The Creature Quorum, where my friend Six and I talk about creatures from Pokemon, Monster Hunter, and Kingdom Hearts. We just put out a really stellar episode of The Hunter's Quorum, where we had both friends of the podcast, Monofsky and Crasspants, on to talk about Monster Hunter Rise. And we're going to keep talking about that game for a little while. And that's what I have going on over there. My other podcast is a bi-monthly marketing podcast called Talking Marketing, which is hosted by AMA Boston and found wherever you listen to those podcasts. It is a marketing professionals interview podcast. And I'm excited for what the future holds with that show because I have recorded episodes through the summer. And I burned myself out like a candle with two ends. And now I need to actually produce and release those episodes steadily over the next couple months. So stay tuned to Talking Marketing for more stuff. Yeah, Magellan, I think I can take the plugs on for this week if you don't mind.
Sure, do it.
Okay, great, I will. If you have questions, comments, or concerns, please email chatspod@gmail.com, CHATZPOD. Our Twitter account for now is @chatspod. And if you have YouTube, we're uploading episodes of Should You Watch, at least, our other podcast, on the Chatz, a television podcast YouTube channel. You can subscribe over there and get other content, which we may be posting more video stuff in the future. If you like Chatz and want to continue enjoying the TV Book Club with us, consider rating us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and subscribing. It helps the algorithm a lot and helps more people come into the club. And if you have a couple coins to toss at us, our Patreon is patreon.com/chatspod. We're at $1, $3, and $5 a month. We have all sorts of bonus content, like things that you vote on for us to watch, pilots of TV shows that we might cover on the main feed, and whatever else we kind of feel like doing. At $5 a month or more, you get thanked at the end of every main feed episode. Our current $5 and up patrons include Arthur, Jen, Justin, Kat, Lee, Magellan's mom, Marcus, Michael, Nick and Pat at the Brothers at Infinite War, Six, and Stefan. Thank you guys for supporting Chatz. We really appreciate you and your support. It keeps us going, keeps us strong and invincible like the birds of prey. All things Chatz can be found at chatspod.com. And if you like our main feed art, it was done by Camilla. She's at Camilla Strader on social media. And before we go, Magellan, we have one final brief segment where we recommend things for the listener to enjoy between now and the next episode of Chatz. It's called Chatsums. Magellan, what is or are your Chatsums for this week?
Oh, keep it short and simple. I've been watching a lot of basketball video essays, and there's one video essayist who does good ones. His name is Johnny Arnett. Check him out. It's pretty fun. My tone is not anything against Johnny Arnett. I think he makes great content. I think I'm feeling trapped in my basketball hyperfixation without a clear understanding of where it started or where it will end. But in the meantime, he has some good videos about interesting facts, if you like those.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what about you?
I have two Chatsums, one of which is a film that I watched with my parents last night and my sister. It's called The Swimmers. It's a 2022 film on Netflix about the Mardini sisters, who are two Syrian refugees who escaped Damascus in, I believe, 2015 and made their way to Europe by fucking raft from Turkey to Greece, which is a harrowing part of the real story that happened to them, on a packed raft full of other refugees. And how one of them ended up getting into the Olympics for swimming and became an Olympic gold medalist. So it's a really beautiful movie. It's very, very well shot. I love the moments of like blending English and Arabic cultures together and how the language kind of interchanges. It's all subtitled if you don't happen to know Arabic, but we didn't really need that in our household, thankfully. It's got a lot of warmth to it, despite being a like story of tragedy and victory and underdogness. I think it definitely brushes over the like material issues plaguing Syria, especially since the film came out, obviously. But at the very least, the end of the film is like, hey, here's what these girls were doing now. And it's not exactly all sunshine and roses. So there's a lot to look up if you're interested in the girls. So it's The Swimmers. It's on Netflix. It's a really not fun. It's a really thought-provoking documentary that my family and I enjoyed quite a bit. So check that out. And then my other Chatsum is just this Tumblr post that I found that's going to make Magellan laugh. It's two posts. One is a reply to the other one. So post 1, might drive my Chevy to the levee. It better not be dry, though. Post number 2, you guys won't fucking believe this. I had a feeling you'd get a kick out of that one.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
That's what we have, folks. Thank you all for listening. Oh, thank you, Magellan, by the way, for being the Reese to my Dark Strike. Because at the end of the day, one of us gets the girl? Who writes this shit? Never mind. Thank you all for listening to Chatz. Thank you. We love you. Goodbye. Caca, squawk, etc.